How's it going? I'll be talking about the Old Testament today. You are my friend, I guess. So here we go. So it started off with Genesis, with creation, and that gets into Adam and Eve. They were, I guess, the original sinners that brought the devil on into the world. They were kicked out of the Garden of Eden after being tempted by Satan and eating the fruit. From there, corruption fills the earth extremely quickly. At an exponential rate, leading to Noah and the flood to kind of restart the earth. And then this is where, from Noah's descendants, we get Abraham in our first covenant. And Abraham marries Sarah, who has a son named Isaac, and Isaac was supposed to get sacrificed to God, but God was like, "I'm trusting you. You put your faith into me, so you're good." Isaac would go on to marry Rebekah, who would have the son, and then they would have Jacob and Esau, and Jacob would marry Leah and Rachel. Kind of a mess there. He wanted to marry Leah. Either way, from their descendants, we get to the 12 tribes of what is going to be Israel, because Jacob ends up actually changing his name to Israel. But from those descendants of Jacob, we get Joseph, who is the favorite and is exiled by his brothers into slavery, where he gets sent to Egypt and ends up kind of gaining power, not like a position of power, in a sense where he's not kind of a slave like they wanted him to be, because that's actually a good thing, because a famine hits, so then all the people living in like modern day Israel go to Egypt to get food, but then they're put into slavery. And Moses comes in. Obviously it's Moses. I don't know if everybody kind of, at least someone heard of Moses' name. He's kind of a shy dude, but God tells him to do what I say, and he did. And Moses managed to lead the people out of Egypt. That's the parting of the Red Sea, and so on. He also they meet at Mount Sinai, where the law and the 10 Commandments are given out by God. So while they are on their exodus, they don't follow God's orders to a T, and it leads them to wandering 40 years in the desert, where Moses ends up dying, and now Joshua ends up becoming in charge. And Joshua brings them back to the Promised Land, where the land is now divided up into those 12 tribes, the original descendants of Jacob. So now the people are kind of struggling because they are just getting back. So there's outside forces attacking them, and this is where we get into the judges that happen during the Old Testament. Samson, probably one of the most famous ones. He's got long hair. I got long hair. Then it goes hand in hand. I've known about him for a while now. So the judges fight off the enemies, but then the people of Israel are like, we want a king. Other tribes near them got kings, and even though the priests and the prophets were not against the kings, God eventually gave the people what they wanted, and the first king was Saul, who was a decent king, nothing crazy. He's obviously could have been worse, as future kings would show, but he kind of becomes jealous of David, has some issues with David after David defeated the Philistines with the David and Goliath story. But David eventually becomes king, and obviously who is the grandfather of Jesus, or has this descendant in line. Jesus descendant of David. And so now David's king. He does a pretty good job. He is the whole thing where he kind of steals a man's wife. Not too cool on his part, but still did what God said. He's followed by Solomon, who is the last king before Israel is divided, or the land of Israel is divided, and now we are Israel, the north kingdom, and Judah, the southern kingdom, where we begin into the prophets, such as Ezekiel, who are warning for the people to repent to God, and the people continue to not do that, and eventually that land gets taken over by the Assyrians. The Assyrians wipe out Israel, the northern kingdom, and then Babylon comes later and wipes out and takes over not only Israel that was taken over, but Judah, and then finally the Persians come in and conquer everything, and now the Jews, but at least with them doing that, the Jews are able to kind of reconciliate in Israel and Jerusalem, and that would be where the New Testament or the interdimensional period picks up.